So LEGO revealed two new Marvel Summer 2025 sets. This is a completely new take on what used to be the helmet series. Now we don't just get the helmet, no, we get a little bit of the torso because these are busts. The Iron Man one releases on June 1st, and the Iron Spider-Man one releases on August 1st, 2025. Both are $60. The Iron Man one is the Mark IV armor, and it's not exactly Iron Spider, it's Iron Spider-Man, you know, the MCU one, based off the Infinity War design, even down to giving us the same exact minifigure from that awful Endgame set. I don't know about you, but I think these busts are a major step down from the helmets, and I didn't even love the helmet sets. There is the improvement that, hey, now these busts have minifigures. The helmet sets didn't have minifigures. So I'm not entirely sure if a minifigure is something that is necessary for a helmet set. I would just really care about a well-detailed helmet. Old me wouldn't say that. Old me was probably like, oh, I wish there was minifigures. But I've got the distinction between large-scale models like the helmets and then minifigure scale sets. And I think throwing in exclusive minifigures to a set like this isn't completely necessary. But on the plus side is that because they threw in an exclusive minifigure, this is our first ever Mark IV LEGO Iron Man minifigure. So it's like, hey, at least we finally got the missing suit out of the first 7 Iron Man suits, because we've never gotten a Mark IV before, oddly enough. But the downside is it's locked to a $60 set that isn't even minifigure scale. So that's a question I can't really answer. Is this for a better or is this for a worse? The minifigure design looks cool, but really the only new part is the torso. The visor is the same one that we got with the Mark 7 minifigure in the Quinjet, in the Avengers Tower, but also with the Mark 6 figure, which we just got with the Marvel logo and the Iron Man Armory set from this year, where this minifigure uses the same legs from that minifigure, the Mark 6 armor, where it's like, that kind of works, but I mean, I don't even think it's nitpicky to say that that doesn't exactly match the legs of the Mark IV armor. At least give us a new print for that. The torso print, which is new, looks fantastic, and I think they did a great job there. Of course, it would be nice to get arm printing for these Iron Man minifigures, but that's just like an impossibility with how LEGO cheaps out with stuff like arm printing and leg printing for minifigures. I mean, like, we should probably just be grateful that there's leg printing on this figure, even if it's not new. I mean, it's not like the legs have side printing, which looks very awkward. LEGO Marvel, LEGO Marvel. My main complaint is the design of this bust. I think this is a massive downgrade in the build compared to even the helmet, which the helmet was not perfect. This was the 2020 set, but I didn't mind the helmet that much. I thought it was a pretty good interpretation of the Iron Man helmet that we see in the MCU that this is based off of. Oh my gosh, like this doesn't really look like Iron Man when you look at it. A lot of it comes down to just how that visor is done with the build here. Somehow, 5 years later, and the visor manages to have more noticeable gaps. This just looks awful, if you ask me. This part comes off a bit too pronounced and straight, that it comes off a bit like a unibrow. The mouth design is a little bit too shaped to the design of the piece that it uses. It should have been multicolored or something to have red at the bottom. And I think looking at that helmet set compared to this set, it does seem like a lot of this is because of the scaling of this set being smaller than the helmet, which looks a little bit less detailed. And so those imperfections stand out more when we have like single piece representations of certain areas of the helmet. Again, I didn't think the mask version was perfect. I'm calling the mask as the helmet version. But the design of that just had a lot more smoother interpretation of the visor, even though the base helmet piece had those studs showing. While this is improved with studs not showing on the base part of the helmet, there's even more unnecessary ridges where they are just using existing pieces that are in the LEGO lore, so that we have stuff like this piece having those ridges ever so present, and it doesn't look right if you ask me. Dare I say, all of those imperfections make it look a lot like a bootleg. I have problems with this set really end there though, because I don't mind the actual bust torso body design. The gap between the head and the body allows this to be rotatable, so that's pretty cool that you get some movement with the quote-unquote head there. I don't think the side of the helmet looks bad, and the back, all that looks really smooth and actually much better than the front. There's also these air brakes, which are adjustable. That's pretty neat. I also really love the hidden micro missile launchers at the shoulders. That's a great use of the tread piece. I didn't expect that, and it's cool how concealed those are. The arc reactor in the middle looks good. The surrounding armor doesn't feel as intrusive with its gaps there, because you do have a more fulfilled flat surface for that torso design. I do like the roundness at stuff like the shoulders. Yeah, it's really just the front of that visor that kind of kills the set for me. It's quite impressive how this doesn't use any printed pieces whatsoever, but you do get a new print aside from that torso, with this 2x8 tile saying it's the Iron Man Mark IV on the stand there. That's neat. Also, with both of the busts, you could rotate them at the base as well to see how you want to display them. And they make it easy if you want to make it with the little logo at the front there and no minifigure, or if you want to have the minifigure and the logo. So I think if they just did that visor part of the helmet better, I would be all over this set, because I'd like the rest of the build, even if it does feel pretty darn overpriced at $60. I mean, if you're a price per piece ratio person, that's 436 pieces. Compare that to the helmet, which had a total of 480 pieces, but then again, the helmet didn't have a minifigure, so take that as you may. This would be ideal at $40. I think back when I think of Lego Bust to a Star Wars one, not that one, but the Vader one, which was a convention promo from 2019. And that one just feels a little bit better in its sizing. And it was only $40 when they sold it at Target. But I mean, lest we forget the Marvel bust they did do before, which was the Black Panther one. That one looks good, but it was way too pricey for what it was. Anyways, the design of the Iron Spider-Man one, I do like better than the Iron Man one. Now this one has a worse price per piece ratio, where it's 379 pieces for $60. So yeah, that's what, around 60 less pieces than the one from the Iron Man set. The design here looks better at the mask, but I wouldn't say by much. This one has problems when you look at it from certain angles. From this angle, it looks like it has a very defined protruding forehead. From this angle, it looks like the top of the head is way too big compared to the front face, and that there's too much of a gap there. But the separation of the top half of the forehead being so defined feels like a contradiction to what we would see from this design in Infinity War. And it doesn't really mesh well with the overall shaping of the head for me. This one does use printed pieces in its bust design, where you have a print for those two parts of that forehead for the design of this really clever part usage for the double pizza slice piece, as I call it, with that print for the eyes. And then that little Nexonite's shield piece at the front there. That'll probably be used for a mech soon. The side of the head is worse than the Iron Man one. The random roundness with those double pizza slice tiles there looks pretty bad, and with that corner sloped piece. And from this angle, the front looks very insectoid, funny enough. Another problem with this one is on the torso part of this design. LEGO didn't really attempt to even capture the full logo design on the torso there. I could kind of see what they were doing here with the colors. But with this specific format they went with, the design of these tiles right here and this corner sloped piece and everything just gets too much in the way of capturing that top half of the spider logo. There's a certain level of sharpness that's just lost. At least there's another nice printed Nexo shield in here. Now there's no hidden missile launchers in this design, but you do get those mechanical spider arms, two to be exact, and those look relatively posable, so that's pretty cool. And again, the Iron Spider-Man included is the one from the awful Endgame Final Battle set that releases soon for $100. That one I have qualms with compared to the one that we got in the Sanctum Sanctorum 2018 Infinity War set, which was the only other time we got the MCU Iron Spider-Man. The design of this one now has dual molded legs, which is a plus, and I think the torso and face printing is better, but there's no arm printing, which the original one had, and then the original one had printed legs, even though it looked awful from the side legs. So it's like, okay, why didn't you just carry the printing onto the new dual molded legs and we could have had something perfect? So yeah, you're going to have to pay an arm and no leg for the printed arms. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I'm tired. That was a bad joke. I'm sure this is something that we'll probably end up seeing with the Star Wars line, but as it stands, I don't think this fits the two Marvel characters they did. And the choice to do Iron Spider is kind of strange. I'm not sure why they didn't just do like an MCU Spider-Man. The Iron Spider suit isn't exactly popular in the MCU world. I know a lot of people clowned on it. And again, the minifigure in this set isn't exclusive. It's one that comes in that very crappy $100 set that also feels overpriced. So personally, I just kind of wish they redid the Iron Man helmet. I think that was a pretty cool set from 2020, and improving on that could really make it look even better than it was before in the year 2025. But no, we have something entirely new, which is a good idea in theory. I do like when LEGO tries new things here and there, but I just don't think this format really fits this design, or at least the execution of the design. I'm sure if they made this with a bit more pieces, which would also mean it would be even more ridiculously expensive, we could have something more elaborate and something more concise. But I'm not sure the sizing here really fits, given the gaps and given the misinterpretations of this design. Both of these just kind of come off limited and a little bit confusing to me. So let me know, do you think these are as massive a downgrade from the designs of the helmet sets? To be fair, we never got an Iron Spider helmet. We got the Spider-Man mask. So this is something that we haven't exactly gotten from the helmet sets. But I do like the Spider-Man mask a lot better than this Iron Spider bust. Subscribe here for more LEGO news and commentary. Just be polite in the comments if you agree or disagree. I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye.